Hey, so let's go over the questions that you're going to see if you are filling out a Social Security Disability Title II application on paper. The questions are also going to be asked if it's online, but it's harder to capture that while I'm talking to you because I generally can't go page to page unless I'm filling it in. Okay, so bear with me here. Now, if you're one of my clients, we send you a data packet that helps us gather all this information because we're going to be the ones drafting your Title II application electronically 99% of the time for the SSA and yourself. So if that is the case, you have already provided us the sign-up document, so thank you. That gets us on board and gets a few of the release requirements that the SSA is going to demand or that we're going to need when we work towards getting records from your providers. You are also being sent, in addition to the data packet, to gather the application or some of the application information. We also upload it to the portal. This would be for my clients. Some facts that are referred to in your sign-up packet that you have to be aware of because it's going to help you have a stronger case. A reusable form that if you, as we move along, get a new medical office that you're treating with, you can put the information right on the simple form. It's form fillable, and you can just open it, save it, fill it out, save it to your device, and upload it back filled in. You don't have to print it. Or if you prefer to print and handwrite or whatever, you can do that as well, and then just get it back to us. That's called, we just refer to that as a reusable medical update form. Reusable. And then the last thing is a document that has the Zoom office link and password. So when we're going to meet up in Zoom, potentially you and I, that's the link you're always going to use because it doesn't change. Okay. All right. So let's get to this new packet that you have, or again, if you're doing the, I think it's the SSA-16-BK. That is the paper version of the Title II application information for those that, don't have access online to file. So one thing I always say, and it's on the cover page I put on top of it for my people, when you fill out your pages, don't leave anything blank. If something is not applicable because it just doesn't exist, put an NA, because when you leave something blank, the implication is that you might have missed it because a lot of people just blow off a lot of questions, even though they are applicable, or you might have just missed it, not seen it. If you do leave out important things, it is going to slow up your application. The SSA is not going to be able to process it if you're dealing directly with them without more information. You're just slowing everything up, and that's your future being slowed up. Same is true with my clients if we're working from here, because some of these items we're just going to have to ask of you as we go forward. And if we're working on your case today and you left something blank and we carved out time today to work on what you got us in, and we scheduled this time to go over it, and you left stuff out, well, now this thing isn't going to be finished today. Now we have to go back and forth, right? And then you have to provide the information, and then we schedule. Once we get it, then we can schedule someone to start working on that, their next opening, or bring somebody in, whatever the case may be, or myself. We're not necessarily going to be someone sitting there with, doing nothing, waiting for you to send something back so they can then jump and do something. People are always busy, always, always, always. It is a constantly fluid field and work area. Be honest on your questions on your T2 application information. Be detailed. I know for my people, if there's something they think they might want to say because something's confusing and they want to make clear, write it all down, because this is not going to the SSA. It is coming to us, and then we're drafting. So don't worry about that. When you put your name on your Title II application, and this would be true online, you got to use the name that's on your Social Security card. That is how the SSA is going to connect the you in that paper to the you that they have. I think I hear a dog out there. Always. So when you look at something, you think it just seems silly and irrelevant. It's not. So if there is an answer to it, answer it. Again, if you don't, it's gonna hold things up. And you might never get your application accepted by the SSA. So everything that's asked for is important. If we give it to you, it's very important because we don't believe in wasting any time, particularly our own. But we don't want to waste yours either. So we don't send irrelevant questions. All right. There are either something that the SSA is going to demand an answer to. So we need to know that answer. Or we have asked the question that the SSA doesn't even answer because we know it's going to help you around the corner with something else. So we'll already have it from you. All right. So let's get into it. Some of the first questions asked are, again, you print your first name, first, middle, last, and it is the name as found on your Social Security card. Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? If you are a citizen, you have to describe whether you're born here or elsewhere, and where you were born elsewhere, and if you are a citizen, when you were later naturalized. And I will remind you that you're going to need to have your naturalization papers. Okay, just like everyone else needs to have birth certificate, which you need your naturalization papers to connect you to being a citizen. The alternative is, and it's fine, is a legal resident. That's fine too. I mean, anybody who's worked for Social Security and is legally present, be they a citizen or otherwise, is welcome, to file when the shoe fits and collect their paid for benefits. So answer those questions with regard to the citizenship. If your name was different at birth than it is now, you're gonna want to put down in a spot where what your birth name was, male or female. I don't know if they've gone into that other stuff, by whatever name they go by. You got to provide your Social Security number, date of birth, and then there's a reminder that I give my people at this point to be prepared to produce a legible certified copy or an original of your birth certificate to the SSA in the near future. City, country of your birth, if it is not the USA. And then if you're born in the USA, city and state of your birth. They also asked the question, was a public record of your birth made before you were age 5? Yes or no? Generally, if you have a birth certificate, that's going to suffice. But don't leave that blank just because it might seem like a silly question. Yes or no. If it's a birth certificate, I would say yes. They also ask if there's a religious record for your birth made before you were age 5. That might, I don't know, include some sort of ceremony, I suppose. That could be a yes or a no. Go ahead and put it down. And I know it's probably not used that much, but the reason being some people didn't have birth certificates, but they had evidence that is perhaps not what we consider concrete or the most objective or the most credible otherwise, and that would be through a church back in the day. So this is probably less important now than it was 70 years ago or 50 years ago, but the question they still want answered. Then there's just a brief area where you put down the illnesses, injuries, or conditions that limit your ability to work. You can keep it brief. You don't have to go into, and I talk about this elsewhere in a different video, you don't have to get into L1, L6, and L7, and C4 to 5. You could say neck, back, leg. If you have a known disease of magnitude, aside from degenerative joint disease, which you could say, but again, don't get into the weeds. You got a small space here. This is not where you prove your case. This is just giving them some basics. And if you had something that was a listing type of disease, or gosh forbid, a compassionate allowance, that's where you want to actually put the name of the disease. Just so that their system can catch it and you can get expedited potentially. Then there's the question, are your illnesses, injuries, or conditions caused by your work? Yes or no? This is really important. If you just think it's caused by your work because work aggravates you and now you have an achy back and you've been sitting for 30 years, but it's not a workers' comp injury type of condition, and you don't have a workers' comp case and you're not going to have a workers' comp case, say no. Okay. It's not really a subjective question. It's an objective question. Although they don't say it that way. So people sometimes say yes, because in their mind, that aggravation from work maybe caused my depression or whatever. If it's not, the question is geared to go towards workers' compensation, because if they can find that it is workers' compensation related and you are getting or got or will get workers' compensation, they are looking to offset your Social Security benefits or your workers' comp benefits. So rather than put that little cog in your wheel, and it is a big cog, if you do have a workers' comp claim, or you're going to be, or you're in the middle of trying to settle, you have an actual claim or are going to, which is less likely because generally the workers' comp claim is filed so shortly thereafter. By the time they get to me, it's already been filed. You need to say yes. You don't want that coming up later, then you've forgotten all about it and now you're getting whacked with an overpayment, or you're not going to get your one benefits because you left this little ditty unanswered or answered incorrectly. The next question is about when did you become unable to work because of your condition? This is one that often we have to go over in depth. And it's going to be hard to explain it probably right here, right now. Sometimes it's a very easy answer. If you are working full-time and you suddenly stopped because of your conditions, that's the day. If you drop to part-time, but are still working, but the part-time is under SGA, and when you went to work under SGA from full-time, say, and if it was because of your condition, that would be, even though you're still working, I would probably be using, and again, we'd have a lot of conversation about this, I'd probably be using that older date to get you as far back as possible of eligibility for SSD. Because once we're not working and not able to work more than full-time or more than SGA and are not doing so, that is a day we can be considered disabled. So we want them to look at the earliest possible date. So that's just one tidbit about picking the onset date. Picking the onset date is super important. You can lose yourself many thousands of dollars of back benefits should you win if you pick the wrong onset date. You could even prevent an application from being accepted if you pick the wrong onset date. But I'm not going to go into that here. Okay, so in my data form is what I'm going through, which mirrors the questions that the SSA asks in its form, except I have some additionals because I know they're going to be important. They ask if you've ever filed for Social Security benefits before. That's, well, on my form, it's number 6A, but it could be something different. On the SSA, it's ever-changing form that it has. So that's, they're going to know if you did anyway, but be frank with it, because if you did file before, sometimes your representative, such as me, is going to want to go get that prior application information and see if maybe it can help us request a reopen of a prior application that you lost on, that you were denied on. Yeah, so if we don't have that information, we will not be doing that. And you could feasibly not have something reopened that could have been reopened, okay? Because we wouldn't have requested it. Then I go on to ask about, were you in the active military or naval service, including Reserve or National Guard, active duty, or active duty for training? Get this. After September 7th, 1939, but before 1968? I suspect in a few years, this question will be gone. I think it's still there. So it's either yes or no. Obviously, this would be for much older individuals. And most of us would not be able to worry about that one. Yeah, it's going to be no. And they ask for when your date of service was. Then they ask have you ever been or will you be eligible for monthly benefits from a military or civilian federal agency, including Veterans Administration benefits only if you waived military retirement pay. That would be a yes or no. Now keep in mind, don't get scared. If you're getting veterans disability benefits because you have a service-connected disability, answering yes to this, well, you wouldn't, because it's only if you waived military retirement pay. But don't be thinking that I have another video on this. You can get both SSD and veterans disability benefits for the service-connected disabilities at the same time. Okay, there is no offset. It's a beautiful thing. Then they ask, some of these questions seem to be asked more than once because they ask it in a different way. Have you filed or do you intend to file for any public disability benefits, including workers' compensation and Black lung benefits? That would be a yes or a no. The other public disability benefits you have filed for or intend to file for, if any, is, and then the options are VA benefits, welfare, SSI, other, and then you would want to explain other. They ask if you have Social Security credits under another country's Social Security system, yes or no. This would apply to people who have worked in other countries. And they may have, and the reason being, if you did, it's not a horrible thing. They can be merged at times if there are certain agreements in place between our country and their country, so that if you didn't have enough credits under the US system to get US Social Security, we can combine at times, and then you have enough because you get credit for the foreign country's Social Security credits you earned. So that's a good thing. Then it asks you what countries that would be. Are you entitled or do you expect to become entitled to a pension or annuity based on your work after 1956 that was not covered by Social Security? This is where they're starting to get the information early on. If you work for a federal government and receive a pension, because some of those federal jobs or state jobs did not require that you paid into the Social Security system. And this is going to be important to know earlier rather than later, where it can really screw you, whether the windfall elimination provision would affect you. So you want to be very clear on this one, okay? And when they say not covered by Social Security, they mean if you didn't have to pay Social Security taxes on that working income. That's a yes or no question. And then they ask, the answer is yes. You know, how much, when, that kind of thing. I think it's the date they want to know. All right, that is the first 2 pages of my form. If you're going through the SSA-16, it'll be different pages, but that's kind of the order that it goes in. I have to take a break. I have to go to the ladies' room. But I will continue this a little later. It might be a part 2 because it might be getting a little lengthy. But anyway, so that would be part 1 for our Social Security disability application. It's pretty dry material, but you got to do it or else you're never going to get the thing processed. All right. I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye.